what inspired you to transition into your role right now, where you help other business owners achieve the freedom you found?
I was a VA for about 4 or 5 years. But then around that
Wow.
time, so I was living my dream, right? I was already homeschooling, earning more than my usual jobs. I was happy. But then the challenge then was I was working around the clock. And I was very impatient. I was getting impatient, which again, the mom guilt, like, you wanted to work from home because you want to be present, but your kids beside you, but you're not really there. You're physically there, but you're not present. So again, whenever I feel that misalignment, it's really very strong. Like I cannot function. So I need to pause and reflect again. That's how I stumbled upon OBM. So that was
Awesome.
2017. That's through an online certification class as well. And I never went back. I just fell in love with operations from there.
Welcome to Delegation Dialogues, the podcast where we dive into the world of business operations and explore the strategies that help companies thrive. Join your host, Regine Regencia, as she interviews business owners and professionals who share their insights on effective delegation, leadership, and growth. Let's get started.
Welcome back to Delegation Dialogues. I'm your host, Regine Regencia, and today we're diving into the world of business growth and operational efficiency with the powerhouse in the operations field. Our guest is Daisy Virtudazo, a fractional CEO and streamlining operations partner for 6 to 7 figure entrepreneurs. Daisy specializes in helping business owners who feel overwhelmed by many moving parts of a growing business and who are struggling to find the freedom they originally sought when they started. Her approach is all about systemizing processes to return precious time to her clients so they can focus on what they truly love. Daisy, welcome to Delegation Dialogues. We're thrilled to have you here to share your insights on achieving freedom through streamlined operations. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here and thank you for inviting me.
I am excited. And yeah, Daisy, used to call I used to call you just Coach Daisy, so this is something new for me. But thank you for being here today. And yeah, for those that are listening, I've recently enrolled to a class under Coach Days. That's to become, an online business manager. And this is something that I'm really excited about because I believe that this is a value that I can add to the clients that I work with its strategic assistant staffing. And those new clients that I work with, this is something that I can definitely do for them. And this is what you've been doing for a while now, Coach Day, so I'm really excited for this episode. And I prepared a few questions for you. And yeah, awesome. So you work with many entrepreneurs who are struggling to keep up with the rapid growth about their business. What are some of the
Mhm.
most common challenges you see that lead business owners to feel overwhelmed or stuck?
Oh, I see. Well, great question right off the bat. I would say there's a few things that sort of stands out. Number one, you're correct. They really come to me because they feel overwhelmed and they feel that they always do not have enough time. Because basically they're busy running their businesses. It seems like everyone's dependent on them, and they're so in their business that they cannot really focus or feel they don't feel any progress with the strategic part of their business which they're supposed to be doing. And it usually stems from number one, a lack of processes in their business. That's why it's difficult to delegate. It's difficult to check the quality of the output so that clients will be happy. And second, top reason would be misalignment in the team members. I would say yes, of course there are other reasons like lack of data because there's no process again, but those are the top two. They feel overwhelmed. They feel that they don't have enough time. It's like they're running in circles because of lack of process and misalignment in their team members.
Awesome. And those are a few things that I'm already experiencing, I would say. That's exactly the reason why I enrolled to your class to become an online business manager. So I myself will be able to learn that and will be able to at least offer that to the clients that I work with. And yep, awesome. So many entrepreneurs start out wanting freedom. Like that's exactly the
Yeah.
reason why I became an entrepreneur. But as their business scales, they end up feeling even more time bound. Why do you think this happens, aside from the ones that you already mentioned?
I would say it's because especially visionaries, they really just started with an idea, right? And I think you could relate with this because you also have your own business now. And as soon as because initially when the business starts, we're all focused on acquiring clients and giving good results so that the our name would be out there. But then as soon as we get that traction, we sometimes fail to realize the importance of building the right foundations in the business, which are the right structures, as simple as SOPs. I mean, if you think about it, like, it looks simple, but to be honest, I would say about 95% to 98% of the time, um, business owners do not really focus on building, processes, streamlining their operations in the beginning. And it makes sense because what will we streamline if we don't have clients, right? So I get that. But then sometimes because they're so excited with the growth, they just want to get more, get more, get more. Now the danger there is the more you get, it's great because it means you're great at marketing. But soon enough, if your operations or back end are not streamlined, the what's gonna most likely gonna happen is you're not gonna be able to fulfill what you promised the client. So quality is gonna be compromised. Team members might be feeling stressed because of the bulk of workload, and it may potentially lead to attrition. And what would happen, you'll be left alone, or at least you'll need to hire again. So that's why it's so chaotic, so stressful. And those two things really, I think, are the reasons why um, that's why they need OBMs and operations managers. But yeah, it's really the fun. I mean, when we think about systems and processes, it seems boring. I mean, to be honest, like, oh, it's so tedious, it's so boring. Does that make money? So I always say that,
Yeah.
okay, as OBMs, we're like, our impact is not really instantly felt, but we're there because all aspects of the business, as long as there's like people that are involved, whether clients or team members, and we're offering a service or a product, there's a process involved there, there's communication that's involved there. That's essentially a system, and that's what we do on the back end, at least one of our core functions as OBMs. And I'm actually
Awesome.
glad when I learned that you already have your agency, because I've had students already join my class that are already agency owners, and I've seen the changes in the organization, but not at your scale. So I'm actually also excited when I saw that. Oh, like, because you're like a big agency owner already, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm hoping I'm there. We're still startup, but but we're getting there. Awesome. And yeah, and that's exactly why I enrolled to the OBM class. That's because I am already overwhelmed. And you're right,
Mm.
it doesn't make sense from the beginning, but once you grow and the clients that you work with are growing, you also need to make sure that on the back end there should be a process, a streamlined process, because that impacts not just profitability, it or
Yeah.
even our own time in doing the work, but it definitely affect our personal lives. I'm
Oh,
for sure
sure,
you agree on
definitely.
that one.
Yes, definitely.
Awesome. And in your experience, Coach Days, what are the warning signs? Aside from the ones that we mentioned, let's talk about warning signs. That the business is losing efficiency and they need more systematic approach.
I see. Yeah, I would say just top of mind with the clients and businesses I've worked with, a few signs that I would be mindful if ever you're in this situation. Number one, everyone in the team is dependent on you. So these are for the CEOs, the founders. If your team cannot decide on their own and they need your approval for even the littlest things, that's a really red flag because you essentially trained your team member to be dependent on you. So it defeats the purpose on why we hired them in the first place, so that we could delegate. But if yes, we have team members, but then they're all dependent on us, everything's dependent on you, you're not really scaling. You just added more work when in fact the essence of scaling is, increasing your profit without having to add more. So that's number one. If everyone is dependent on you, you would want to check why, because it's either you've encouraged a culture of dependency on you, and then that would just usually be solved by proper training, guidance, follow through, and whatnot. Another warning sign I would say is, of course, that the clients are getting unhappy. Like, because usually if
For
you have an
sure.
agency, right? Usually you either have a sales team that's closing for you, or clients directly speak to you. So it's a high trust um, transaction and relationship. But then once the work starts, it's a team that's gonna fulfill the work. And if clients, as soon as maybe you get emails requesting for a call, if because they have complaints, that's definitely a warning sign. Because, hey, I trusted you, I bank on our relationship, but then what's happening? Some projects are missed, or a simple typo on whatever. Maybe you're doing video editing. So those little things, if the client complaints are increasing, that's definitely a sign. Project delays, so that's like correlated. Another would be if you've hit your income ceiling, I would say. Like, you can grow more, but then you physically cannot, even though you have team
uh,
members, because again, they're dependent on you. So even though your marketing is great, all your clients are in the wait list. So if you don't have a funnel in place, that's or a product suite that those in the wait list can consume, so that you still get profit. If you don't have that, those people on the wait list, it's great now. Okay, I have like 1,000 people on the wait list, but their needs are still there, and if they cannot wait, they will go somewhere else. So that's essentially money lost for you, profit lost for you. And yeah, if you've hit your income ceiling, because even though you know what to do because you've enrolled in a lot of courses, or maybe you're also a marketer yourself, but you just are overwhelmed, and you don't know what to do next, even though you really know. It's probably because you're bogged down by your day-to-day operations, because again, the team is dependent on you because of the lack of process and structure and systems in place to ensure that you essentially duplicated yourself, so that you could focus more on what you should be doing, which is strategic growth for your company.
Awesome. And that's exactly why once you're already feeling or already on that, situation, you really need an online business manager. But I'm really curious
Exactly.
about your story, Coach Days, because I think I've heard you with one of the classes that I've attended that you are a teacher by profession.
Yes.
Like, I'm
Yes.
interested, what inspired you to transition into your role right now, where you help other business owners achieve the freedom you found?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so just let me shorten, because you know me, I tend to talk, but yeah, for the purpose of our listeners, but yes, you're correct. I used to be a physics teacher. I teach physics and chemistry
See?
actually to high school students. But then around that time when I was teaching, I had a growing family, and I knew there has to be more, and I also want to be present in my kids' life, because I grew up not seeing my parents. So I don't want to, I don't want history to repeat itself. So the calling for me to really be there, at least for the foundational years, is very strong. And I knew me working outside, even though I love teaching, is not really an option, at least in the phase of my life that I'm in right now. Maybe I could get back to teaching later on, which I do now in a different context. But during that time, I really knew I wanted to be there with them. And then also around that time, I stumbled upon the concept of homeschooling. So I'm a teacher, and then I stumbled upon homeschooling, and I was just mind blown when I saw that video. Oh my god, I'm getting chills every time,
Yeah.
because I was so brave. I was just so brave then, because I didn't know how to go about homeschooling, how to do it, but I fell in love with the vision, and I knew not making it happen is not an option. So I did it afraid. And also, I mean, we're both independent, so we don't really have like parents to depend on. I knew as well that I needed to um, earn money on my own. So I literally Googled English work from home jobs, because I felt I'm a good communicator. And then luckily I found Rare Job and Odes, which is Upwork now. So I started as a VA. Well, actually, ESL instructor first, and then I did some writing until I stumbled upon becoming a VA. So I was a VA for about 4 or 5 years. But then around that
Wow.
time, so I was living my dream, right? I was already homeschooling, earning more than my usual jobs. I was happy. But then the challenge then was I was working around the clock, and I was very impatient. I was getting impatient, which again, the mom guilt, like, oh, you wanted to work from home because you want to be present, but your kids beside you, but you're not really there. You're physically there, but you're not present. So again, whenever I feel that misalignment, it's really very strong. Like I cannot function. So I need to pause and reflect again. That's how I stumbled upon OBM. So that was
Awesome.
2017. That's through an online certification class as well. And I never went back. I just fell in love with operations from there.
Wow, that's very inspiring. And as a mother myself, I can totally relate. Like, this is the reason why we're working from home to be present, with the kids that we have, with our kids. But sometimes we tend to, work a lot. But
Yeah.
that's really an inspiring story. And this is exactly why I enrolled to OBM, like before the end of 2024. I want to make sure that I am learning this to ensure that
Mm.
my team members are not going to be, too dependent to me. And right now I'm working, like, because I have upskilling, and I recently hired like three new roles, I think just 2 weeks
Ooh.
ago. So I am training those three people
Oh,
with, of course, the help of
nice.
our VP of operations right now. But it's one thing that made my work hours more than 12 hours a day now because of what I'm doing. But I don't feel burnout. And I
Mhm.
am a believer of the vision of becoming an OBM, wherein I do not want to be just a doer, but I want to manage. Instead, I manage and
Yes.
create system and processes, streamline everything. So, what I am hoping is once 2025 comes in, is that I won't be working again 12 hours. Though right now I
Yeah.
don't feel burnout because I love learning. And that's exact.
Yeah.
And I have a goal. I have a goal that
Yes.
2025 I should only be working on the things that I love doing for the business. So that's why I'm
Agree.
doing
Agree.
this a little sacrifice for now, I'd say.
Yes. And one thing to note on that one is, essentially, you're just planting the seeds. So to all our listeners is probably also wanting to, because one of the resistance of business owners in terms of delegating is they already have so much on their plate right now. They don't have enough time. And if I onboard new team members, I'm gonna train them. So that's where will I get that time? But then you have to realize, guys, that it's really just essential and know that you doing that, maybe working the extra hours, is you planting the seeds, and it's not going to be like forever. Once you solidify that,
Yes.
once you feel that you're ready and equipped, you could just slowly let them go, and then you'll have your the free up time that you're looking for to focus on more important stuff.
Exactly. Thank you, Daisy. And let's talk about some testimony. I'm curious about this because you're working with both local and international clients. And can you
Yes.
share like some success story of clients who saw a transformation after implementing streamlined operations? Like, what changes did they experience?
Oh, yeah. Number one that they always tell me is what they appreciate most about working with me is that I keep them sane.
Oh,
Like they cannot function. Like I've become a pillar. I think that's the term. Like I've um, instantly become the pillar, one of the pillars of the organization that it cannot run without me. But then, of course, we don't want that because we also don't want our clients to be dependent on us. So
yeah.
once that's confirmed, we make sure the structure is there to also duplicate ourselves so that we could help more. But yeah, so I see their sanity in a sense that because they feel really bogged down with the operation. So me coming in as their fractional CEO or operations consultant, they know they have someone they could trust who has operations expertise, that has strategic expertise, that can take over that for them, and they instantly feel a relief and peace of mind knowing that I got their back. So we're really partners. I make sure that when I come into the conversation with clients, they know that hey, I'm not just your employee or contractor. I'm actually here as your partner. Like if you proceed with me, I really will treat your business as mine, and that translates to not just you but also your team members. That's why some team members also, because we have monthly what do you call that, peer reviews. So we have the client review from the team members, so that I make also the client accountable, because as OBMs, it's not just managing teams, projects, our clients, but we also need to make the clients accountable. Because let's say we are making the team embody the team culture, like for example, as simple as always come to the meeting 10 minutes before, but then our head is like 10 minutes late. So how will the team members follow that if the head is not leading? So I also make them accountable. So we have those monthly client reviews with the team members, peer to peer, so everyone gets reviewed, but it's anonymous. And I usually get and that's what I like about operations, because just seeing, more than them feeling empowered in the role and seeing them grow and feel confident, when I get messages like, oh, I actually taught my kid to do this too, and that it impacts even their households. That's really, so despite all that, the stress, because let's admit every day we have challenges, but that's what we do. We thrive in solving challenges and problems. But knowing that you not only just make them feel empowered in the organization, but what they took from you, they could also implement in their own families. For me, that's just rewarding. And they also say that I just delegate the task, not the stress. And
Awesome.
I live by that, because team members cannot function if they're antsy because they know the manager's mad or whatnot. So if the problem already exists, let's view it objectively. Okay, let's acknowledge where the shortcomings came from and what can we do better. I never want to dwell so much, because when the problem's there, why make it bigger? Let's just learn
Yeah.
from it, and then okay, what can we do better? So that's how I've always functioned. But yeah, so that's one. Instantly feeling the business expand, because the business owner, the CEO, now has time to proceed with other partnerships endeavors. So the business grew, so you could see the numbers in the profit that's coming in, and team members just really Because before, when you come in, "Oh, I'm overwhelmed, I'm stressed, blah blah blah," but then now you're seeing positive words. So for me, that's an impact. What else? And of course, successful launches, because I also help with launches. Just and that's what I like about launching, seeing the vision become a reality. And I also that's why I love to work with clients whose products or services are actually doing good to the world, because alignment is also very important. So for me, I view it as, okay, if I help this client turn their vision into reality, for example through their coaching program, when we launch it, we hit our launch goals or exceed it, and then we impact those people's lives. It's like me also in my own little way in the back end operations, impacting those people's lives.
Exactly. That's very inspiring. And for sure, for our listener right now, they want to connect with you. So if someone listening is feeling the overwhelm you describe, the stresses and everything, what's the first step they can take to start regaining control over their operations?
Good question. A lot. So my mind is running at a mile a minute right now. But okay, let's ground ourselves. I would say number one, if you're feeling overwhelmed, just do a brain dump. It's really so simple. Because usually, why we're overwhelmed and our body is tired is because our brain is full. And as Brian Tracy that said, our mind is not to store ideas; it's to create new ones, to ideate. So if you're overwhelmed, it's probably because there's a lot of ideas stored here, running in circles that you haven't really you know process yet. So just get a
I
piece of paper
agree.
or your notebook or your, I don't know, Notion or document online, and just brain dump whatever you're thinking. Do not even categorize, just what are you thinking, put it off on paper. And I tell you, the moment you do that, it's like you're able to breathe because yeah, the head is freed up from all the noise, and suddenly new ideas come in. And for me, it has always worked. It doesn't take you more than 5 minutes. So that's step number one. Once you're done doing that brain dump, look at that paper. Next thing I would suggest you do is, whatever you've written there on your paper, you view it and see if you find patterns or categories. So maybe, oh, these are all about customer fulfillment, because maybe there's a lot of challenges there, or maybe there's finance. So just find categories, and then once you found the categories, next question is, read through what you've written there and ask, should I be doing this? Because as leaders, especially leaders, CEOs, anyone in the C-suite level, whenever we have those lists of to-dos, before we go about doing, solving those things, you need to ask first who, not how. And there's a book, Who Not How. That's where I learned it from. So, who can solve this? Because if there's a person, then delegate. Just be clear on what's expected, and then you'll see the list will be diminished, and what will be left are things that only you can do as a CEO. So you doing that actually makes yourself accountable to also stay true to your function. So those are the three things that I would suggest. And that goes for anyone, whether you're not on the C-suite, as a VA, maybe you're on your own task, especially if you've multiple clients or there's a lot of things that you need to do. Bring them, categorize, and then prioritize. And once you prioritize, put deadlines. Because again, Parkinson's law, the time it takes to complete a task or the completion of a task is affected by the time you've allotted for it. So that's why I tell my leaders or my heads, okay, if I need the task done by Friday, I actually just say Wednesday, because
Yeah.
I know, like, I mean, recalling in our college days, and me even now, if I was given, okay, I know, okay, I need to do this, but I won't do this after the meeting, because like the meeting is like so long. I want to rest. I want to walk outside to refresh my brain. So probably I'll do it on Tuesday. Tuesday's too early. There are other things. I have calls. So we have the tendency to put things last minute. But the trick there is to just also trick our minds. So create false deadlines. Of course, you won't tell your team members that actually that's for Friday. No, tell them the false deadline already, so that you have time to review, give feedback, and then they could still return it to you on time.
Awesome. Just a little segue. This is something interesting. For Filipino listeners, you said Parkinson law. Is that like the
Yes.
same as manana habit for Filipinos?
Yes, yes. That's our translation of that. Yes,
That's awesome. And for someone that's listening, for those listening want to reclaim their time and freedom, what's the best way to connect with you? I think our listeners are already asking about this as of now.
Oh, yes. So if you want to connect with me, you could just search for me on LinkedIn at Daisy Virtudazo, or on Instagram at Scale with Dace. And if ever you are one of our Filipino listeners, we have a free community for folks who are also interested in becoming operations and business managers, or learn more about systems so you could streamline your business. You can join Powerhouse OBM Freelancing Community on Facebook.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Coach Day. So we're now down to the last part of our episode for today. So I have some rapid fire questions for you. So we just want to pick your brain for today. And are you ready?
Okay.
So with my first question, what's the one tool or app that you can't live without for running your businesses?
Only one.
Yeah, only one.
ClickUp.
Okay. Same as mine. I use Notion, but yes, task management system is always my number one. And how about your go-to productivity hack when you're feeling overwhelmed?
Oh, brain dump.
Uh, perfect. And what's the most unexpected place or situation where you've had a great business idea?
Oh, shower.
Uh, for sure. And if you could be mentored by any entrepreneur, past or present, who would it be and why?
Elon Musk. Just
Uh,
because oh my god, there's two. But yeah, I'll stick with Elon Musk just because of how visionary he is and how brave he is with the execution of his plans. I like that. And I think that's what I'm lacking. So I definitely that's why I have his book. Or at least a book written about him. So yes, definitely him.
Awesome. And for our last question, since we are Delegation Dialogues, that is the name of our podcast. If you could delegate any one task in your life forever, what would it be?
Oh, my life, or just in the context of work.
Related.
Delegate forever. Oh, writing SOPs.
Oh, gotcha. Thank you
Yes.
so much, Coach Daisy, for sharing your invaluable insights into operational efficiency and time freedom. Your expertise really highlights the transformative impacts of a streamlined, well organized business. So, for those of you listening who feel like your business growth has you overwhelmed and tied down, be sure to connect with Daisy and learn more about her approach to unlocking time freedom through strategic operations. Thanks again, Daisy, and thank you, listeners, for tuning in to another episode of Delegation Dialogues. Until next time, keep delegating and keep thriving.
Thanks for tuning in to Delegation Dialogues. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and gained valuable insights into optimizing your business operations. If you are looking for expert virtual staffing solutions to support your business, visit Strategic Assistant Staffing at strategic-assistant.com. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast. See you next time.